All right. So seems like the recording I did in class yesterday did not work. So I'm re-recording this. I'm going to take it a little faster this time because this is a video. You can pause and play. I have, like I was showing you during class, I have my keyboard presses down in the bottom left. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So let me just make a new file here. Oops. All right, so we're going to be working in the form environment. So most of you that are familiar with Fusion already are familiar with most of the other tools that we have in this 3D space here, like extrusions and similar things. But in this case, we're going to be using forms for sleeker, smoother shapes. You get less rectilinear things, and you have a little more control over smooth shapes, sometimes called speedforms. So yeah, let's get into it. So what I've already done is I clicked that little form icon. I'm going to do this. You just click that plus with the purple cube up here, and that's going to bring you into the form workspace. In a lot of ways, this is similar to a sketch in the way where you can finish a form. Now, one really important thing to know about the form workspace is you don't have history in the same way that you do anything else. And I should specify, you can undo, but you can't go back, in time and adjust one thing and have it auto adjust. So a little different. If you're really used to history and being able to go back in time, you're forced to have a little more forethought when it comes to modeling in the form workspace. So typically when we're creating shapes here, we're either going to be using the box or plane or cylinder. One of the three. For this first homework assignment, we're going to keep it super simple. We're just going to start off with a box. I can, towards the end of this video, show you some more in-depth kind of ways of doing things. But for those of you that just want to get this assignment done and turned in, that's what I'm going to start off with, just keeping it simple. So I'm going to go ahead and click box here. And then now it's going to wait for me to define a plane. I'm just going to put the box on this front plane here. And I'm just going to toggle so that I'm looking straight on at this plane. I'm going to start this right in the center. And in this case, let's go ahead and make this the size of our Zoox vehicle. So let me check and see roughly how large that's going to be. Let's do 6 feet wide by 5 feet 6 inches. And then I'm going to click, not press enter. I'm going to click to place this box. And then I'm going to make the width of this, let's do 15 feet. And then I'm going to click again and press enter. Okay, so we've created our shape here. I'm going to go ahead and orbit down to the bottom. Select these 4 faces. Press delete on my keyboard. And so I've deleted those bottom few faces. Now I'm going to go ahead and set up symmetry. So I'm going to mirror internal. I'm going to click this side and that side, and then click OK. And so this green line is delineating your mirror line. All right. So now I have a shape pretty basic that I can go ahead and just start playing around with it. So the tools that you're mostly going to be using are going to be insert point and edit form. So anytime I want to add more detail in any particular area, I want an additional loop. So I honestly don't know why they call it insert point, because you're kind of inserting lines, but essentially I can select anywhere along edges to insert an additional line. So if I click OK, it's now subdivided here. You can also, if you so desire, there is a subdivide tool, but you get more finite control with insert point, and I find often it's faster rather than having to set up everything in a dialog box. Just doing insert point keeps things easy. Okay, so we've added more detail here. Now I can start moving things around with the edit form tool. So I can click on edit form. I can click on any face, edge, point, whatever it is that I want to adjust, and I can just go ahead and start moving it. So if we want a little bit more of a speed form here, and I want the front to be a little lower, I'm going to select both of those faces and drop it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and select these rear ones and bring that up. And so I'm already starting off with kind of a car-based shape here. Now, let's say that I wanted to give a little bit more of a character line along the side of this car. I can just go ahead and use the insert point command. I'm going to click on this point here because it's already a triple point. So I'm just going to make this so that it has 4 lines all intersecting in the same spot. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw out how I want this all to connect in and click OK. All right, so that's going to be the basis of our character line, but this won't be enough on its own to give me the shape I want in the shoulder of the car. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click to loop select, and I'm going to right click. That gives you this contextual menu of everything that you can do with your current selection. Keep in mind, all these tools are available underneath your modify tab, but this makes it a lot faster and easier, a little easier to read which tools will be useful to you based on the selection. All right, so I'm going to use the bevel edge tool. This sounds a little counterintuitive, feels a little weird, but what this is essentially going to do is it's going to give you parallel lines on either side of your selection. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it at what it's defaulted at. Let's see what that's going to do. Okay, it only gave it to me on the front. I wanted more than that. So I'm going to double click to loop select this again. And I'm going to, let's try inserting an edge instead of the bevel edge. Cool. So that's given me this loop in addition to the loop we already had. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loop select that one again by double clicking, right click and insert another edge. And I'm going to drag this down onto the other side of that line and click OK. All right, so now we have a couple different loops here that we can use to define our shape. So let's go ahead and start by taking the top of our car, selecting it using the edit form tool and dragging inward. Now you'll notice I'm getting kind of a pinch point here, and I don't really want that. I want everything to move a little smoother. And so I can use instead what's called fall off. So what I just did was Command Z to undo. Fusion calls it soft modification, I guess. I know it as fall off. That's what it's called in some other modeling programs. And when you check this box here called soft modification, you'll notice how it's going to highlight a bunch of stuff in red. I typically change this from distance to face count and then drop this down. And so, this will, in this case, for every, 5 inches I move this inward, it will move these points that are 1 face away, say half of that, or that may change depending on whether you're on the linear mode or on the bulge mode. It's kind of dependent, but this is a nice, easy way to pull a lot of faces along, but at different rates than your faces you're trying to affect the most. So I've gone ahead and I've moved that inward. I'm now giving my speed form a little bit of a shoulder here, which is what I was looking for. But I don't love how the nose of the car is kind of angling up. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch to my head-on view on the left here. And I'm just going to go ahead and select a bunch of these surfaces and just drag them down. And I'm actually going to rotate them a little bit too. There we go. Cool. Let me click OK. And now I have a continuous downward facing angle. You can go ahead anywhere in here and add any more lines that you want, either with your insert point command or like I showed you with insert edge. That's basically just going to offset an existing edge that you have in your model. And just go ahead and give more features where you need it. So let's say that I wanted to add a little side view mirror here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to, let's use the subdivide tool now, just so I can show you how this works. So I'm going to click on subdivide. I'm going to click on this face here. I'm going to change my length and width faces to 3. And this is going to give me a finer mesh to work with here. And that's what I'm looking for. So in this case, I'm going to do something a little weird. I'm going to go ahead and delete this face. And that's because I know deleting a face is going to give me a round shape where that face was removed. And that's what I'm looking for kind of the stock of my side view mirror. So I've gone ahead and I've clicked on that face and pressed delete on my keyboard. And now I have this open void here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this. And I'm going to use the edit form tool. But before I go ahead and drag anything around, I'm going to hold Option on my keyboard. And I'm holding that down while I click and drag this, and it's going to pull this into a new extension, I guess. I'm going to undo this and show you what I had before. Notice how I didn't have, if I were to just move this without holding Option, it drags out this existing one. But I'm going to hold Option and drag out. And now this pulls in a new, couple faces. So I've pulled that out, and let's say this is a little too wide. I don't want it this wide. I'm going to turn on soft modification briefly, change my extent to 2, and I'm going to use this little bar here, and this is going to scale only in the Y direction. And I'm just narrowing this up a little bit. Cool. Now I'm going to turn off my soft modification because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to look down on this from the top, and I'm going to angle this back a little bit. That's what these circle handholds are for. So I'll walk you through all of these real quick. So circle on this outer edge is to rotate. This is going to move everything in this plane. This is going to scale in this direction. This is going to scale in both X and Y directions. And then if you drag the center one, it's going to scale in every direction. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit. And then I'm going to hold Option and drag out a little more just to create another shape. I'm creating multiple shapes here for kind of a finer resolution to my model, I guess. Anywhere you have tighter details like small side view mirrors, you want a tighter mesh with closer spacings between edges. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and start rotating this backwards like so. And I'm just dragging things around and moving them until they feel right. So I've done that. I'm going to hold Option again. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm getting another facet. And I'm going to finish this rotation out to be facing backwards now, like your side view mirror should be. And I'm going to go ahead and scale up with this corner here. And actually it looks like this is a little tilted down. So I'm going to rotate so that this is quote unquote flatter. And then I'm going to bring this vertical scaling up so that I get a more round shape and less oblong. So yeah, that is kind of the side view mirror here. I'm going to make it, maybe let's go a little bigger. I'm going to hold Option one more time. I'm going to drag out and scale it up once more. Okay, so this looks good, but I think it's a little wide just on this edge. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scale everything down slightly in that direction and then just shift it over a tab so that I still have a wider flow on the left-hand side, but it's a little tighter on the right-hand side. All right, so let's say that we're happy with this shape here, but I think I want to pull it up a little bit. I'm just going to double click this edge to loop select. I'm going to turn on soft modification, and I'm just going to drag upwards. And now this is shaped a little more like I want my side view mirrors to look. Now, keep in mind, there is no driver to your Zoox cars, so you realistically don't need side view mirrors, but this is an easy way for me to show you how to add some more detail. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add one more face loop here, just so we can start to taper this in straighter, like so. And I'm actually going to do negative 0.25. And then I'm going to hold Option one more time while I drag this again. And now I have this coming out kind of flatter. Cool. So that's my side view mirror. Now you'll notice this face is open. That's okay. We can fill this in our Forms workspace, but it's a little cleaner to do this afterwards in the Surface workspace. So I'm going to leave it open. Same thing that I'm doing with the bottom of the car here. Speaking of the bottom of the car, this is a little tall, so I'm going to double click to loop select, edit form, and drag upwards, and just shorten that up a little bit. So this is my basic speed form for my car here. I'm going to go ahead and finish my form, and I now have an open non-solid shape here. So I need to fill in these 3 holes, the 2 on these edges here and the 1 on the bottom. So I'm going to move to my Surface workspace, and I'm just using patch tools. Just keep it super simple. I'm just going to go ahead and click on that loop and click OK, and that's patched in this face here. I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to use my patch tool, click on that loop, patch that in, and then same thing for the bottom here, and click OK. And then the only thing you'll notice is these are not all stitched together. So this is reading as a different body than the majority of our shape, and then the base is too. You'll notice when I hover over any of these shapes up in the browser on the left here, it's going to highlight which one it is that I'm hovered over. So as I move around, it'll tell me, hey, these are all different bodies. So we just need to use the stitch tool. I'm going to click stitch, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click the top one, hold shift, and click the bottom one. That's going to select all of them. And you're going to see, hey, all these green edges are where it is going to join these faces together into a solid body, hopefully. If I click OK, I should see this solid icon appear rather than what was here before, these open icons. And now I have a solid body that I can work off of. Say, hey, now you wanted to add some sort of detail that didn't make sense to make in the Forms workspace because it's very rectilinear. So let's say that I wanted to add some wheel wells here. I'm going to go back to my solid workspace. I'm going to create a sketch on this plane here. And I'm just going to quickly throw in a couple circles for my wheel wells. I'm going to put it about here and here. Now these are different sizes. I want to set them equal to each other. So I'm just going to go ahead and click my equal constraint tool. And this is just going to take any 2 things I select and set them equal to each other, in this case in size. And I'm just going to go ahead and place these roughly where I think they would belong as my wheel arches on this car. Your car should look a little nicer than mine in the long run, but for now, this would be a totally acceptable kind of shape for this first assignment, so this is fine. So I've got these 2 circles in place. I'm going to go ahead and finish sketch, and I'm going to show you a really cool tool, or not necessarily a tool, it's a tool you've already used, but I'm going to show you a new way to use it. So we're going to use our extrude tool, And we're going to select both of these shapes, and I'm just going to drag them outwards. Oops, I missed my circle here. And you'll notice this is cutting in from the center here. I don't want my wheel arches to go all the way through my car. So I can start this cut extrusion from an offset from this drawing plane. So if you notice here, I have my start up here in the top right. I can change this to offset, and then I can change my offset to, let's say, 20 inches. I want to go -20 actually, in my case. And that looks a little closer. I'm going to go -25 though. Nah, -20 is probably about right. And I'm going to click OK. So now I've got some wheel arches in my car. I can go ahead and mirror over that last thing. So when you're mirroring, you have a couple different ways you can mirror. You can mirror physical bodies, but you can also mirror actions that you have done. So in this case, this extruded cut, I can just mirror this over to the other side. So I'm going to change my object type up here to features, which will allow you to select any of these. In this case, I want to mirror over that extruded cut. So I'm going to select it down there. Then I'm going to tell, okay, now I'm going to tell you which plane to mirror over. I'm clicking select. Then I'm going to click on that center plane there. And then you're seeing it's going to kind of ghost in, oh, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to click OK, and it's going to cut my wheel arches out of the other side. I'm going to go ahead and save this as car Speedform. And I can save this, IDSGN 120. I don't remember if that's the number for this class that we're in, to be honest with you. No, it is not. This is the intro class. I don't remember what the number is for Leif's class, but I'm sure you can figure that out pretty easily. I'm going to hit save. And I don't know what Leif has the turn-in requirements as in Canvas, but he may want you to turn in an F3D file, in which case you're going to drop down file, you're going to export, you're going to name it and change the type to F3D, and then you get to choose where it's getting saved. If I want to change this, I can click these three dots and it'll pull up your file browser and you can choose where it's getting saved to. In this case, my desktop is fine. I'm going to click export, and then I can go ahead and turn that in. What might be nice, though, just to make it easier for Leif to check that you've done it and make sure it's easy for him to grade, we can also just make a rendering of this and submit a JPEG, because he can view that just directly in Canvas on the web rather than having to open everyone's model individually. So for that, we're going to go to the render tab. We're going to drop down design, go to render. And in this case, everything's a little blown out. I've got a light colored shape on a light colored background. So I'm going to change the appearance. I'm going to click on the appearance tab, and I'm going to find, oh, perfect. I've already got my paints open. I'm going to switch this to glossy dark gray by just clicking and dragging and dropping that onto this. And then I'm going to close that. I'm going to change my scene settings. I'm going to go to my environment library, and I'm going to change this to, let's say, field. I'm going to double click on that. And now I've got this car sitting out in a field. In this case, there wouldn't be a reflection. So I can go back to my settings and uncheck reflections. And now I have my car kind of in a, background, and some way that you can render it. Just make sure there's a nice contrast between whatever color you use and the background, so it's easy for us to see. I'm going to go ahead and hit close once I've got that set up. And I'm just going to quickly do an in-canvas render to make sure everything looks good. So yeah, this looks great. I'm going to go ahead and stop that in-canvas render. And I'm going to use my standard renderer. I'm going to click on that teapot. It looks like I am not connected to the internet. Let me toggle that back on. Perfect. Okay. Now, should let me render. Nope. Not yet. I'm gonna go ahead and save one more time, see if that'll force that to update. Still hasn't loaded. All right, let me start by showing you a way to do it in Canvas, and then once this uploads, hopefully in a second here, I'll be able to show you this teapot renderer. So you can just use your in-canvas renderer. You just need to be patient and wait. The second you move your view around, it's going to re-render. So, find an angle that you like, let that process, and you can watch this bar down here. Really all we need is for it to hit excellent. That's going to be plenty for this assignment. For your final project, for your final presentation, yeah, you might want to go to the final quality or even past that if you really desire. But for this assignment, we're just going to leave it at excellent, and you can even stop it before then if you want to. This already looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and once that's done, I'm going to pretend like it's done. It's going to be done in a second here. I can capture image just by clicking up here. I think on Mac, it's only going to allow me to choose current document window size. On Windows, you may be able to change this, but I don't use Fusion on Windows very often, so I'm not positive on that. This is going to be totally fine. This is just going to use the resolution of your display. In this case, 2560 is the width, which is going to be plenty. So I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to save, rename this and make sure Save to My Computer is checked. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Name this whatever you want. Hit Save. And then you can go ahead and turn that in on Canvas. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, you can just email me. I'll put, probably not a good idea to put my email in the description of a YouTube video, but you can message me directly through Canvas. And I'll try to respond to you, or Leif too. You can reach out to him.